In a small, quiet, and remote town, there is the largest and highest quality doll shop in the area. Tourists would come from all over the world to see the dolls, whose quality seemed almost human. This shop belonged to Robert Wilson. Robert was a one-of-a-kind, excellent craftsman. His hands were called by many people golden hands. Robert had a little girl which he loved dearly, named Emily. Emily was the light of his life. She had magical green eyes, glowing brown hair, long, beautiful eyelashes, and a cute and innocent smile. Emily was Robert's favorite thing in the world, and that's why he made a custom doll in her honor. He considered it the greatest creation of his life. The doll was so full of details, down to the green eyes, the hair, and the innocent expression. Emily loved the doll very much and could not be a moment without it. One day, Robert took Emily to his workshop to show her how he made the dolls and to teach her his craft so she could become the heir to the shop. Emily watched with great curiosity as her father moved his brush slowly, carefully, and with precise movement. When Robert finished, he gave his daughter the brush and told her to continue. Emily took the brush, and seeing her, Robert's tears began to well up. Emily also moved the brush gently and precisely as she continued the doll's face. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. A burglar had come to the store, threatening Robert and Emily with a gun. Robert, afraid for his daughter's life, spoke quietly and carefully. "We have no money here because we haven't opened the store yet. But please take as many dolls as you want and sell them. They are the most unique and special dolls in the area, and they are very expensive. You can take as many as you want and sell them for a profit. Just take pity on me and my daughter." The robber laughed at Robert, still pointing the gun at them. He mocked Robert and said, "Who will buy these ugly dolls from me?" He then took one doll from the shelf and threw it on the floor, breaking it. Robert, enraged by the robber's disrespect and the destruction of his work, couldn't remain indifferent. Without thinking twice, he jumped at the robber with a fist raised. The robber, panicking, fired a bullet that missed Robert. Robert hit the robber, causing him to run away in fear. Robert turned to look at his daughter, only to find his world shattered. Emily was lying on the floor, covered in blood, while holding the doll he had made for her. The bullet had missed Robert, but struck his daughter instead. Broken, Robert ran to his daughter, hugged her, and begged, "Emily, no, don't leave me, I beg you, please." But Emily was no longer alive. Robert screamed to the sky in pain while holding his daughter's head. Seeing the doll he had made for Emily covered in her blood only deepened his sorrow. A week passed since the incident, and Robert buried Emily near their house so she would stay close to him. Poor Robert was utterly broken. The only thing he had in life was taken from him. He tried to move on, but every time he saw the doll he had made for his daughter, he would break down again. The doll reminded him of Emily, causing him great frustration and sadness. Every day, Robert made another doll resembling his daughter, with glowing green eyes, glowing brown hair, an innocent and beautiful smile, and a kind face. He placed all these dolls in Emily's room, on her bed, the place where Emily had loved to play with her doll the most. Each time Robert entered the room and saw the dolls, he began crying and screaming. When he expected to see his daughter, all he had left was the doll, which looked like her. One day, after another difficult day at work, Robert entered his daughter's room and noticed that Emily's original doll, the one from that dark and sad day, was missing. He had kept it separate from the other dolls on the table because it reminded him the most of that tragic day. He initially thought it might have fallen onto the bed and mixed with the other dolls. Robert closed the door and continued making another doll to add to his deceased daughter's collection. The robber, the horrible human being who ruined the lives of an entire family because he couldn't fix his own, remained a dark presence in Robert's memories. The same man who ruined Robert's life was named Jeffrey. Jeffrey had a family: his wife Elizabeth, his two elderly parents, and his little daughter Lily. He and his family lived in a small house in the north of the town and led a poor and difficult life. One day when Jeffrey came home, His daughter Lily approached him excitedly and said, "Look, Dad, look what I found outside the house. Look at this beautiful doll I found, Dad." Jeffrey looked at the doll and didn't understand where he knew it from, but he ignored the thought, patted his daughter on the head, and went on with his day. Lily loved the doll very much, just as Emily had loved the doll Robert made for her. Lily never left the doll for a moment and was with it every day, all day. One evening, after Lily had gone to sleep, Jeffrey came home from a day filled with threats and crimes. He entered the house and called out for his wife, Elizabeth, but received no response. Jeffrey searched for her everywhere, but still could not find her. He reassured himself that she was probably with friends and had simply not updated him. Robert rested on his old, torn-up couch, watching TV through a set he had stolen from a man he had broken into, while drinking beer stolen from a convenience store. A few hours passed, and after several unsuccessful attempts to reach his wife through a stolen phone, Jeffrey began to worry. He did not understand why Elizabeth had not answered him. An unpleasant odor coming from his bedroom made him suspicious. Jeffrey grabbed his gun and slowly approached the door of his room. He counted to 3 in his mind, and then broke the door open. The room was dark and quiet. Jeffrey went to the light switch and turned on the light. His biggest mistake. There, on his bed, was his wife Elizabeth, lying dead and covered in blood, with an X mark on her head. Jeffrey was terrified, and tears came to his eyes. "Elizabeth! No, no, no! What happened to you?" Jeffrey was stressed and quickly ran to his parents' room to see if they were okay. He broke the door and saw them also dead in their bed with an X mark on their foreheads. Jeffrey freaked out and couldn't understand what had happened. He shouted around the house, "Where are you hiding now?" But no one answered. Jeffrey remembered his little daughter, who was supposed to be asleep. He ran to Lily's room, broke the door open, and saw his daughter, alive, sleeping in her bed as she hugged her beloved doll. Jeffrey didn't understand. He thought that perhaps the cruel burglar had taken pity on his little daughter, but it didn't seem logical to him. Who would want to exact revenge on him to that extent? Momentarily, Jeffrey remembered the salesman at the doll shop, the salesman whose life Jeffrey had ruined, who had lost his daughter. But Jeffrey couldn't believe that such a man could do such a thing. However, his thoughts were interrupted when he looked again at Lily's doll, the one he had found outside their house. He noticed that it had small red spots on it. Jeffrey went over to the doll, took it from his daughter's hands, and examined it closely. He noticed the style of the doll and how similar it was to the dolls found in Robert's shop. Jeffrey took a closer look and realized that the doll looked very much like the girl he had killed. The doll had the same eyes, the same hair, and the same innocent face. Jeffrey was startled, but still didn't believe what he was thinking was real. Everything changed when a faint whisper echoed in his head. "So do you remember me?" Jeffrey panicked, threw the doll, and started to run away. When he reached the hallway of his house, he fell, and upon getting up, he saw the doll standing at the other end of the corridor. After blinking, it appeared right in front of his face. "So you remember me, huh?" Jeffrey shouted. Yes, I remember you. I remember you. I'm sorry. Please have mercy on me. I'm sorry. It was an accident." The doll silenced him and said, "It's me, the same girl whose life you ruined and whose father's life you destroyed. I noticed we weren't the only ones. You destroyed the lives of families because you couldn't improve the lives of your own. So I brought you a taste of how we felt after what you did to us. But this is where it ends." The doll took out a knife and stabbed Jeffrey in the leg. The stab was very deep, rendering Jeffrey unable to move his leg properly. He screamed in pain but fell silent when he heard another whisper in his head. "You ruined my life, so I'll give you a taste of every pain I've experienced. Mental pain, physical pain, and anxiety for your future." As the doll moved the knife once more, Lily came into the room, rubbing her tired eyes and said, "Daddy, what's going on here? Why are you screaming? And where's my doll? Why did you take it from me?" Jeffrey didn't want to scare his daughter and faked a smile despite the pain he was experiencing. He told her, "Don't worry, everything is fine. Go back to sleep. I'll return the doll to you later. I just want to see where I can buy you more of these." Lily told him that this doll didn't need to be changed and that she didn't want another doll. "Give it back to me. I can't sleep without it." Jeffrey replied, "Go back to bed. I'll give it back to you." Lily nodded and went back to her room. When Jeffrey looked back at the doll, he noticed that a tear had started falling from it. The doll, having heard what Lily said, began to shed a tear. Jeffrey didn't understand what was happening and heard another whisper in his ear. "Your daughter reminded me of my father. He also used to talk to me like that, reminding me every time how special I am and that there is no one else like me. And you ruined everything." Jeffrey was terrified for his life. The doll approached him little by little. He thought he was finished, but as soon as he closed his eyes to accept his fate, the doll disappeared, vanished as if it had never been. Jeffrey panicked and stood up quickly on his one functioning leg while still bleeding. "What's going on here?" he said to himself in his heart. He forgot for a moment and ran to his daughter's room, hugging her tightly. "I will take care of you. From now on, I will take care of you and I will not leave you." Lily did not understand what had happened, but she also started to cry when he told her about what happened to their family. This incident made her forget about the doll. 2 weeks passed, and Jeffrey and Lily buried their family near their house. They lived together, just the two of them. One day, when Jeffrey was returning home from a particularly grueling day at his new job, he found a strange note in the mailbox. He opened it and read, "Hi, it's me. I hope you still remember me. I'll make it short. I didn't have mercy on you. I just gave you a chance because of your daughter. If you don't do everything for your daughter to live the good life she deserves, I will X you too." The note frightened Jeffrey and made him realize what he had to do. He set to work on improving himself and his situation. He went to study to get a better job, succeeded, bought a small house for himself and his daughter, and took care of her clothes, studies, and overall quality of life. A few years passed, and Robert still worked in the same doll shop. Customers continued to come from all over the world to see his perfect creations, which had only gotten better over the years. One day, an extraordinary customer came into the store. She approached Robert and asked for a custom doll, a doll with green eyes, straight brown hair, long, beautiful eyelashes, and an innocent smile. Robert's eyes widened. The description of the doll was strikingly similar to the description of his deceased daughter, Emily. He asked the woman, "Who are you?" She answered, "My name is Lily. I want a doll that looks like the girl who saved my life."